and it's the Keyboard Breakers. They've done it again.
Is this the biggest panel we've ever had on, Jason?
One day you'll have a guy throwing mid-70s, and next week you have a guy throwing 55-mile fastballs.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Ballcaps Bagpipes, a Scottish baseball podcast. We're back for the 2023 season. I'm John McKellar, the Glasgow Comets.
And I'm Jason Dare, former league president and Baseball Scotland Hall of Famer.
Indeed you are, Jason, and we're joined tonight by Paul Convoy, President of Baseball Scotland. Paul, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Yeah, it's time for our usual pre-season chat. It's been quite an eventful off-season. We last spoke, I think, just after the awards night. But it's been an off-season of quite a lot of change. Do you want to first off get into what might have changed about the structure of the league or the rules?
To be honest, not much has changed with the rules or the teams or anything. It's pretty much the same as it was last year, other than the fact that we are now more confident in the single A being a highly competitive league, which we didn't expect it to form as quickly as we did, the level of competition. But no, the players really embraced it, and that's been exciting, and they're raring to go again, which is good.
Yes, indeed. Have there been any specific changes to single A to sort of facilitate like the next step in the league's evolution, or is it just going to be more a case of more of the same, letting the single A guys just enjoy doing what they've been doing?
Yeah, so we discussed at length the league board to try and give them more game time, trying to move a time limit and such. But because of how we operate, the single A's got to go on first and then the triple A. So in order to make the games or the time at the baseball field for people manageable, we had to keep it the same format again. We'll approach that every year though and see what we can do to make things better. But we have managed to get 2 extra games in for single A. So we've got 14 instead of 12 this year, which is good. So
talk me through the scheduling then, in terms of like the actual schedule, which came out just a couple of days ago, and we will get into the first week worth of games at some point later in the show. But talk me through the scheduling and how that's different this year, adding those 2 games to single A.
It's down just to how we work around who can travel and who can't. So because the single A teams travel with the triple A teams, there's 6 triple A teams and only 4 single A teams. So it took me up. I tried to do it on the plane traveling to Mexico, but British Airways seats ain't that big, and I've got a big belly, so I could not get comfortable with the laptop, so I gave up. Eventually, I did it on my second last day in Mexico because I was sunburned and had to stay at the sun. But yeah, so I played about with it a lot. At first, I proposed a 16-game season, but with some travel being separate from the AAA teams, just to see how it would fit with the managers. And the feedback I got was some teams aren't at that stage yet. You know, some players will have to play in both games on occasion. So we revisited it. I rejigged some games, some fixtures, moved them around to give as many games as I possibly could. And the big one the difference for last year is last year the Edinburgh Knights travelled with the Edinburgh Cannons because the manager of the Knights is an Edinburgh Cannons player, albeit a bench player, but he's a player anyway. So this year we've managed to split the travel of the Edinburgh Knights with both Edinburgh teams, as it's looking like a lot of the Knights will be involved in the Devils setup this year. So yeah, there's now an equal split of travel between Cannons and Knights, Devils and Knights. So that was how we managed to get the extra games.
So you've got some Knights players ready to make that step up into the Edinburgh Diamond Devils. What will that mean in terms of the manager? Because obviously you've mentioned that the manager of the Knights is a Cannons player. Does that mean there's going to be a change of manager, or is it going to be like 2 managers, or are going to kind of?
Yeah, there'll be a 2-manager thing. Yeah, so Ryan McFarlane's still the head coach of the Edinburgh Knights, and it's probably better that when you eventually speak to him, that he would explain it a bit clearer than I could. Because right now we're kind of scrambling because of events that happened just this past weekend in Edinburgh, with the Devils especially. So yeah, it's a work in progress, but the rosters are being set for the league this coming Sunday. So we'll have more of a clue exactly what's happening after that.
I will be on the Comets roster when it comes out, but I want to reassure you, Paul, I am not playing this year. I've got an entirely new gig this season as part of the Baseball Scotland setup. Let's talk a wee bit about AAA then. Have there been any? Is there any news or notes on AAA? Any changes that we should be aware of there?
Say the teams are the same. We're hoping that Aberdeen are going to be stronger than they were last year. Now that they've managed to recover from COVID, the university team started back up. That was where they got a lot of their players in the past. So hopefully they'll be a stronger setup. Tayport are still looking as strong as ever. So the Cannons. I believe the Glasgow teams have strengthened as well. The only sort of one that's maybe taken a hit has been the Devils due to losing a few players. But with the influx of players from the Knights, they've still got a strong core of players that are going to show up every week and give it their damn best go. Which is so.
Yeah. Now you spend a lot of time around the Edinburgh teams. You're based out there. Do you feel that these Knights players are more than capable of making the step up into AAA full time?
Absolutely. There's 4 or 5 players on that Knights last season that were double A level. They weren't single A, and they deserve the opportunity. The only way that a player that's at a double A level, for example, is going to get to AAA is by playing AAA baseball. You can't get better without seeing the quality pitching. So, yeah, I mean, April, May might suffer a little bit for the Devils, but come June, July, they'll be used to seeing that level of pitching and they'll be better. Be better for it. I've got every faith that team are going to do well.
Yeah. Now, let's touch on Aberdeen. You mentioned Aberdeen, and I know that they struggled quite mightily last year due to circumstances that I think, like you say, were reverberations from the COVID period. A lot of their players, university players, folk that they've lost due to folk going back home during the pandemic or just after it. You say that you're confident that they're going to be in better shape. How is that looking out there? I know that there was something going on with their field, wasn't there, to do with Aberdeen FC?
Aberdeen FC are looking to build a new football stadium where the baseball field is.
Yeah, I think I had read that. Yeah, I read that quite a while ago. I think even with Stephen Evans was still around.
Nothing's official yet. There are news reports and journalists are saying it's official, but Aberdeen Football Club have not made it official. Aberdeen Council have not made it official. And Sport Aberdeen are giving Aberdeen Baseball Club zero information on it.
Right.
So they're kind of work in progress. I'm going to try and work with Casey McKenzie up there a lot to make sure that if the football team are going to build on the Aberdeen Diamond, that they help them relocate. Because, I mean, it's just not fair to destroy one sport to benefit another, which is already the biggest sport in Scotland,
Sure, they can just swap fields, They can just work it straight out that way, They get about the same amount of fans. It should work out all right.
My buddy Mark Joss is watching, and I don't know if he'll take too kindly to you disparaging his club like that, Jason. But have you personally been involved with the discussions with Sport Aberdeen yourself, Paul? Given that you are obviously president of Baseball Scotland, and you have, do you have scope to chat with them about that?
So I've made them aware that I want to be involved in the discussions when they happen, but right now they're not happening. There's nothing. There's no information for Sport Aberdeen to even discuss, or Aberdeen Council, or Aberdeen FC. But as soon as they are, I'm going to offer my full support behind the Aberdeen Baseball Club to make sure that they're compensated for all the work they've put into the field up there, because it is a good field. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, that's a very good field actually, considering how much they've struggled in the last couple of years with COVID and stuff like that. They've managed to maintain their field really, really well. I noticed that last year it was still in amazing shape. I think the work that they've done there, like you say, deserves to be recognised. And if they are going to be kicked off it, they really need to be given assurances that they're going to have a backup plan. Because like you say, this is a growing sport in Scotland, and it wouldn't be particularly fair if some council just decides to kick them off the field just for the sake of another new football stadium.
Exactly. So we'll do our best, and the Aberdeen Baseball Club will exist.
Yeah, it's great to know, and I look forward to going up to call an Oilers game. I believe my plan is to go up. I've got the schedule right here. So my plans at the minute are to go up and catch the Galaxy at the Oilers on week 3.
Nice.
If I remember rightly. So hopefully I'll see Mark and all the rest of those guys up there. But in the meantime, let's quickly look at a couple of wee comments we've got here so far. James Seher, good to see you back, lads. It's great to be back. Jim, thanks so much for joining us as usual. A great supporter of the show. Jossie, he says, evening, lads. And then there's a laugh emoji. I don't think he particularly appreciated that comment, Jason.
We were chatting last night. We did a live podcast on Key and Pop there, and we had a good chat last night. So I think we knew I had a sense of humor about things there.
Oh yeah, if there's one thing I know about Mark, it's that he's got a sense of humour. Scott Black, nice flat piece of landfill where Aberdeen FC was meant to go, where baseball can go instead. Just lost a couple of mil to add grass. Just cost a couple of mil to add grass. Robert Dolan says, "Hi folks, did you know that Pataudry is local dialect for dung heap?" Oh dear, it's going to be a civil war in the comments here. But let's move swiftly along. So you mentioned that there's been some issues at the Devils there, Paul. Do you want to touch on that at all, or is that something that more internal?
It's more internal, but there was a change in manager at the Devils. So Juan Suarez stepped down, Leo Hernandez and Sylvain Morceau went back to Devils, took over, and there's been a bit of internal politics there that we've had to change things about even further. So right now the manager is just Sylvain, and we're going to see how things pan out for the rest of the week before we finally set the final rosters for the league. So
LeBleur has returned to his hometown, a conquering hero, and will build the team back up like he's done so many times before in so many different places. It's great that Sylvain's back in Edinburgh. Probably going to be a help for him that he's not going to have to travel all the time. He's certainly done phenomenally with the Tayport Breakers in his time there. I mean, 3 trophies for Tayport last year, 2 of them. Or at least the AAA Caledonia Classic. I think he won the MVP award that day, and quite deservingly so.
He is the only man to have 3 Caledonia Classic trophies. He's won it twice with the Devils and once with Tayport.
That's outstanding, isn't it? I mean, it just tells you what you need to know about Sylvain and how much of a presence he's been in Scottish baseball. So, are there any other sort of league rule changes in terms of the number of batters or innings limits, or is that all going to stop?
We've agreed that the 10th batter rule, so not in the field obviously, but just a 10th batter, additional batter, will be added to the AAA league this year to match the Single A league. There was a lot of back and forth on it during the board meeting, but it was agreed that to give more game time at AAA level, we're going to add the 10th batter rule in for this season over 7 innings. So that's the only change. So
talk me through that decision then, because it's, I think the 10th batter in Single A is kind of an understandable thing, but it could. I see where you're coming from. I would imagine there would be some back and forth at the top level about the 10th batter. What was the kind of rationale behind the decision? Is it literally just let's get an extra DH, some playing time per team, or is there a particular factor that's caused you to think to want to do that? Yeah, so obviously, as you touched on, the reason we do it at Single A is to get more people playing. So the more people that can play baseball, the better is the benefit. And that's the whole reason behind the Single A league. It's to develop players in a more fun, less competitive, although not really, environment. And the reason to put it in AAA is in order to allow development of Single A players to get up to AAA level. So you get an opportunity for, say, a Single A player to come in, be the 10th batter and face a AAA pitcher. So that was kind of the argument for it. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, the argument against it was that the AAA league should be as pure baseball as possible. But I mean, you know what I'm going to say, Paul. You know what I'm going to say. But no, I see the rationale and I do see the point in it, especially with so many Single A players knocking at the door. Like you said, there's so many Double A players already in the league. I think, like you said right at the outset, Single A has grown, I think, so much so quickly. I think more quickly than any of us could ever have really predicted. I think the Single A season last season was absolutely thrilling. So I see where you're coming from. Scott Black does have a comment on YouTube. He's asking, is the 10th batter mandatory, and does the home team dictate that? It's not mandatory,
and it's just up to the team. The away team can use it, the home team can use it, as long as the two managers are aware that one team is using it and one team's not, and they make the umpire aware as well.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that you're not allowed to just change it halfway through the game. That goes without saying, surely.
Yeah, the use it from the start, or you don't, Yeah.
Yeah. I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention Team GB. You're rocking the hat.
Yeah, they're playing right now.
Yeah,
So.
you've been quite supportive on social media and stuff like that. What's your thoughts on GB and the WBC?
Well, for a start, GB qualifying for the World Baseball Classic is a huge boost to the grassroots baseball in the UK. There's the money they get for qualifying in the first place that goes back into the programme can only benefit the grassroots game, because it means that the players looking to move into the GB setup at youth level, under 12, under 15, under 18, and under 23, they're all going to benefit from that. And the players at that level are all homegrown. As much has been said about the players in the international team, from the Bahamas, and kind of trying to cherry pick with a British dad and whatnot. That needs to happen at the start of a program like this. We can't qualify using grassroots players because we'll never get there. So these players have helped us get there. They've been a huge inspiration, especially to the youth. There's a chat going on in the Edinburgh Little League chat group with the parents, and they're all showing their kids, and the kids are watching these games and excited that they could maybe don that jersey and play against the likes of Mike Trout and JT Realmuto and all these guys. So yeah, the guys are an inspiration, and even if they don't win a game, they've made history, and they should be proud of that.
Yeah. I mean, God, when was the last time Scotland won a game at any of the major football tournaments? It's just great to qualify. But you raise a great point.
Scotland 3-3 against Colombia, and they were 3-0.
Not too bad, not too shabby at all. It's a great point you make regarding the sort of snowball effect that will have on grassroots. Are you confident that will lead to an uptick in both interest and quality here in Scotland, or do you reckon that it's going to take a while for that reverberation to reach up north?
No, I think with hosting one of the official watch parties in Edinburgh, we had 30 people turn up to that, and
it was Edinburgh, England, though, wasn't it?
It was Edinburgh, England, of course. We'll let the Americans off with that. Geography's
Buck Martinez is Canadian. Let's get that right off the bat. There, he is Canadian.
Yeah, but yeah, we had a lot of people turn up to that, and not everyone was part of the Edinburgh Baseball Club. But people travelled down from Dundee to come and be a part of that event, which was absolutely fantastic. And there was even a group in the bar who were just in the bar having a drink, and by the end of it, they were cheering every hit GB got, and they were converted into baseball fans just by being in the environment. So yeah, this will definitely have a knock-on effect up here as well. I truly believe that.
Well, it
does. Like it was the largest watch party of all the pictures I saw. You saw the other watch parties, and they were very small there, which was surprising. And definitely, you guys had the packed house there. I would have been out there if I hadn't been out the previous 2 nights. And was feeling still rough. I'm feeling rough today.
Well, you've got a 2-day bender, Jason. That's what happens.
I know. Can't help myself.
This guy literally lives in an episode of Mad Men these days, Paul. So I mean, it's. Scott Black has a comment. Who has the worst baseball uniform ever? GB grey unis or literally any Yankees jersey?
Mm-hmm. I make no comment on the GB.
Scott Black? More like Scott Block?
No. So we'll ignore the whole Yankees comment thing. Now, the GB logo, the font, doesn't look great on the jersey. On the hoodies they wear, it looks amazing. I don't know what the difference is, but on the hoodies, it looks really good. And Canada's uniforms are clearly the worst. The half stripes everywhere are terrible. And the red the red collar and white. Yeah, I don't know about that. I'll take our jerseys over the Canada ones.
Yeah, it's worth saying the font the GB team wear on the jersey was linked to the Made in Great Britain campaign that was used to try and preserve British manufacturing industry, which clearly the campaign failed a little bit, but it did not help British Steel. But that's the font that's used, and that's the reason behind that font on the jersey. There is a reason for it, and it's meant linked to Britain. So yeah.
But you're confident though that it's going to lead to an uptick in interest.
Absolutely, yeah. I think
I mean, a few years ago when the London series happened, I personally didn't find that it looked like there was all that much of a kind of boon to Scottish baseball. I don't know about down south, but like I'd never met anyone who came along to any of the Glasgow training sessions and were like, "Oh, I saw the London series. I thought I would give it a try." So I think hopefully then the World Baseball Classic and Team GB being involved will have that effect, because like the more, like you say, that we can get folk involved at the grassroots level, homegrown players playing at like a better level, that can potentially lead to guys from this league one day potentially playing for Team GB in one of these tournaments. So that's a very exciting prospect.
Yeah, that's the long-term goal for Team GB. Team GB, the coaches do want to, go right the way through the British leagues and have an influence all the way through.
So we've got quite a few comments on these uniforms. Robert Dolan, great umpire out eastward, he says GB jerseys are awful. They look like something out of Matalan.
The red one's nice. The red one is nice.
Mark says the GB red jerseys are smart, but then he is an Aberdeen fan, so his intelligence is questionable. The show the internet was made for is back. Great to see you back, fellas. Thank you, Nick, for joining us. It's great to have you back, and it's great to be back. Let's talk, Paul, about Edinburgh, the Edinburgh Rays. This is a new club that's been formed out in Edinburgh. I know that they're not affiliated with Edinburgh Baseball Club. I don't know how much you want to touch on it, but I just wanted to give you an opportunity to chat about that as much as you're kind of comfortable with.
I won't go into too much of it, but the person that founded the club he was removed from the Edinburgh Club last year due to code of conduct and club constitution breaches, both at league and club level. And they've founded this club, and they've not shown any way to try and rectify the breaches of the code of conduct. So until that's sorted, they will not be part of Baseball Scotland. But we do hope that one day we can come to a resolution, and BSUK are going to assist in this, because they'll need to be chartered by BSUK to be involved in the Scottish League to match the rest of the clubs. They'll need the safeguarding measures which BSUK supply. So, there is a resolution possible, providing the founder of the club acknowledges that and accepts that. So we'll leave it at that.
If I can ask one other question.
You said one question, that's two. Look at that.
It's just a small one. Have they reached out about membership in Baseball Scotland?
No.
At any point? So at the moment, it's very much you're waiting for them. The ball's in their court. Yeah. Okay. We don't need to touch on it any further than that. But I thought that it was important to mention it, because I know that a lot of people across the league are aware of the situation and have been. I think a lot of people have been quite confused by the situation. I think a lot of the Baseball UK groups even are kind of like, we thought that these teams were the teams in Edinburgh, and now there's this other one. What's going on? So thank you for clarifying. I know that there's some things that you definitely can't get into in the show, but hopefully we'll see a decent resolution down the line with BSUK's help. Jason, you wanted to say something?
I was going to say that Baseball Scotland has reached out to the team, and they've not gotten back to them, if I understand correctly. So the help is out there if they want it.
I was ready to drop it, Jason. I was ready to drop it.
I was just making sure we were covered there.
Can we move on to the other new club that's in Scotland? The one that's really positive. Yeah, because
you read my mind, Paul. To flip that, the Glasgow Sunflowers.
Yes.
What do you know about the Glasgow Sunflowers, and what involvement are you looking to have this year with them?
So the Glasgow Sunflowers are predominantly, not exclusively, predominantly an LGBTQI plus group of players. The Glasgow Baseball Association have put their arm out and helped this club immensely, and it really shows that Baseball Scotland as a organisation is supportive of this group. I met with them and Leap Sports, who help facilitate these sort of inclusiveness in sport. And yeah,
that's going to be the name of the episode if I can figure out how to spell it, just so you know, Paul.
So we're going to put a formal statement out to show that these players are welcome in the league, and that there is no prejudice, no exclusionary rules or anything. Everybody plays in Scotland, and that's mandatory. That's made clear. So yeah, we're going to be working with them to make sure they're happy to join the league when they're ready. But right now, the goal is that Glasgow Baseball Association still work with them, and any breaks in the single A season for single A teams should be filled with trying to play friendlies with this team. And that's the goal. I hope we can extend an invite to the Sunflowers to join in with the All-Star break celebrations that we have.
Let's talk about the All-Star break in a wee bit, but I want to stick on the Sunflowers at the minute. Have they communicated to you that their end goal is to be part of the league? Is that something that's pretty much a set down the line?
It's something that they want, yeah, but obviously they need to make sure that it's right for the players, which I totally agree with.
Yeah.
As I make clear, I am very new to this type of, as you can probably tell for the way I'm talking, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to upset anybody. I want them to be able to play baseball. So yeah, whatever they need, we'll make it happen.
Yeah. They're a great bunch. I was at just the one session of theirs. I've been frightfully busy over the off season, but it was a really great environment, and I think that it's more people like that, the league can't go wrong with.
Exactly.
Quite honestly, so I think it's just a great positive vibe that they have as a club, and hopefully to the rhythm of things before too long, and they can start to play some proper games. But it's great that we're looking to involve them in some friendlies in the meantime. What I wanted to touch on with regards to friendlies as well is the Stirling Uni friendly a couple of weeks ago. That happened was it 2 Sundays ago?
3, I think.
3 Sundays ago.
Off on holiday, yeah.
Yeah, but has there been any discussion of turning that into anything more concrete, like a Stirling team, or is that not something that's been discussed yet?
It's still some way off. So when we first thought of the idea of a Stirling team, Stephen Evans was still in Scotland and he was living in Stirling at the time. With nobody really in that area to take on the mantle, and as volunteers, it takes up a lot of time. I mean, I've got a second job that's not paid when I'm dealing with Edinburgh Baseball and Baseball Scotland. So to ask someone to start up a club is a huge ask. It takes an awful lot of effort, an awful lot of work. But if we can get someone interested in the Stirling area, then the foundation's there with the uni club that they'll have a chance at building a team there. The university teams themselves, because of the sort of semester times, means they can't join the league, but they have their own league, and Baseball Scotland fully supports the university league. We provide the umpires where possible. We'll help with equipment, help with coaching, and the teams in Aberdeen and Stirling know this, and hopefully we'll have a team in Edinburgh University next season for the University League, and hopefully Abertay University is doing it as well, because I know there was talk of that around just before the pandemic, but then obviously the pandemic just screwed everybody. So
yeah. Has there been any movement anywhere else in the country? I know that for years there was talk on and off of Inverness, there was talk on and off of down in the Borders and different other wee patches of the country. Has there been any movement anywhere like that? Or
sadly not, no. Obviously the offer's always still there to help out anybody looking to start up a club. The Baseball Scotland mantra is that we want everybody to play baseball, and if they can get the opportunity, we'll help with it, But it takes an awful lot of work to set up a club.
Well, I'm sure it does. Yeah, when you look at the miracle that Jason West has worked up in Tayport, for instance, I think that's the exception that proves the rule, is that guy was able to throw that field up so fast and get such a passionate group together that it's turned into this juggernaut of a team. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly the point I'm trying to make. Yeah, like he's put so much work into that, and that's like the baseline of what you need to do because you've got management of players and playing time and stuff like that, and particularly like we've touched on with a lot of single A people knocking at the door of triple A, particularly out in Edinburgh, but also in Glasgow as well.
Yeah.
There's just so many more people that are going to enter that pool of triple A and needing their playing time and managing all that. So it's not just setting up the club, but actually running the day-to-day. And Aberdeen have seen massive challenges there in the last year or two as well. But yeah, hopefully we'll see some movement and we can continue to grow the league moving forward.
The more teams are in the league, we'll hopefully get my long-term dream of having 3 divisions, single A, double A.
You were talking about these divisions years ago, and now you've got the 2 of them, so that's not too bad.
Getting there slowly.
Yeah, let's talk about tournaments, Paul. I know that we are going to at least one tournament this year. Talk to us about that.
The BBF are running a British Summer Baseball Cup on the weekend, the 22nd and 23rd of July, I think, down at Farnham Park. Farnham's a fantastic facility. We'd be crazy not to want to be involved in this. We were able to secure a spot in the top division, which is for AAA and National Baseball League levels. So we will be needing our top players from the league to go down, represent Baseball Scotland, and have some fun. It's also the weekend just before my 40th birthday, so yeah, we're going to have a party.
That's excellent. I might have to try and make the trip down for that, and we'll do the stream. You'll be half pissed, obviously, about being your birthday weekend, but
I'm not going
to do let's touch on the schedule then a wee bit more. I've got the opening day lineup here. It's going to be very similar, I think, to last year, in that it's going to be a set of derbies, for lack of a better term, on April the 2nd, which is a Sunday. It's opening day. It's only a couple of weeks away. And the Granite City Oilers are going to visit the 2-time Caledonia Classic winning Tayport Breakers from last year. I'm assuming that's just going to be a AAA game that day. I don't have the single A schedule right in front of me, but I think that's the Oilers not having a single A team. That's going to just be the one game. The Edinburgh Cannons, the league champions, are going to host the rival Diamond Devils. And like you say, a lot of change in the Edinburgh Devils. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that game plays out, because the Cannons are obviously, they've been stacked for years. Like the Cannons obviously won the league last year. One of the best teams that a group has ever put out in the history of Scottish baseball that year. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be in Edinburgh in person, providing commentary on the live stream. That's going to be the opening day live stream. I just thought it was make most sense to broadcast the champions home game in the opener as for the first one. But that's going to be a great game as well. And of course, the Glasgow Derby, a game that is, of course, very close to my heart. The Comets are the road team, and the Galaxy will be at home. So it's going to be great to see where those two teams are at. I haven't really been all that involved with either of the sides over the off-season. I'm still chatting with my Comets teammates from time to time, but I haven't thrown, haven't been at any trainings, no intention of playing. So it's going to be great to just take a step back and see that rivalry play out as an observer. I will be at the Glasgow Derby on week number 5, which is the Comets home game. So that will be a live stream. But we won't dwell too much on the schedule just now. But that's going to be the opening day lineup.
Yeah.
I absolutely see you wearing your Comets jersey under whatever hoodie you're wearing that day. When you're down to 7 people, you rip it off Superman style and run out the field.
No, I think it's best. I'll probably wear something like green. I need to wear something neutral. You have to. I don't know if you've noticed, Jason, but unlike you, I try to be professional. Got some comments here. Mark says, Mona Tampa. We've got more here. Nick says, very diplomatically put. I think that was regarding something else earlier. Mona Tampa. No. Let's go Yankees. GB, we're up 5-3. Bases loaded about 10 minutes ago. I don't know what the score is now.
Still 5-3, top of sixth.
Sunflower should be welcomed, says Mark. Great news. I agree. Scott Black, is winning the league like winning the division and the Classic is the World Series, or winning the league is like winning the Premiership and winning the Classic is just the FA Cup? I think that the structure that you're trying to implement is that it's going to be similar to or emulate the sort of North American style of like you win the division and then you go on and you try and win the World Series. Especially with last year, the new playoff format was instituted where it was only the top four that went in to the postseason. Maybe we should touch on that. Have there been any changes made to that, or is that just going to stay the same this year?
It's still the same. So top four from both leagues, which obviously single A means all four, and then the Triple A's top four teams that go into the postseason. And it is meant to be a postseason like the World Series, but obviously because it's only knockout games, it's difficult to call it that just yet. But long term, we could have that final being a series, if we ever get an extended period of good weather in October.
The World Series is played in November now, so why not?
So let me just ask you then, out of interest, Paul, has there been any thought given to single A just being the one game for the postseason? Reason I ask is obviously, especially with the longer regular season, I mean, you know how I feel about the postseason. I think that only the minimal amount of teams should get in because it should be like it should makes it more important, I think. Yeah. So has there been any thought given to maybe 2 playing 3 and then going on to the final to play the champions, or just the first and second having a one-off game for the Caledonia Classic in singly?
Yeah, maybe in the future we'll think about it like that, but right now it's still we're trying to develop the league, trying to develop the players rather.
Yeah,
trying to develop the players. So with the opportunity to there that you don't have to win every game, you only really have to perform in the postseason. So you try players out, you let players play different positions, try and let them learn the game, and then come the postseason, that's when you put your best lineup out, and you see what happens. Yeah, that's the idea behind the 4 teams being in the playoffs.
So is this maybe something that when you eventually get the double A, that middle level instituted, that would be more likely to happen there?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and also long term as well, that every Triple A team would have a single A team to shadow as well. So
yeah.
But of course, getting a double A team would need even more games, and we'd have to start playing different days. That's a headache I'm willing to bridge, but not just yet.
Yeah, it's not a bad 5-year plan, but it's not something that we should be looking at imminently, I guess. Christopher Brown, old friend of the show, is with us. What's up, men? Great to see you, Christopher. We're back. It's great to be back. Hope you're doing well. Worth shouting out Christopher's book, Jason. Baseball's Life Lessons from the Stars Who Played It has been expanded or is being expanded.
It's been expanded, He's been promoting it there. He's got a few more people he's mentioning there, so it will be real interesting to see what comes from there.
Yeah, it's. I've got the original version. It's such a great book. It's a good read, and it's not terribly long. It's got great art by Christopher himself. Obviously, he's a phenomenal artist. So I would definitely recommend hitting him up and getting that. But we'll have to catch up with Chris soon when the expanded version comes out and find out where he's been. So Scott's got another follow-up comment. Then why celebrate single A league winner 1 seed? Changed mentality. Christopher has over 50 players now. It's going to be awesome, and it's going to be life lessons from the diamond. Is going to be the new version, which is I like that. Much nicer, much more snazzy. I think to Scott's point there, I think with those extra 2 games, I think that in itself is probably reason alone to celebrate the division winner in single A. I think with the extra 2 games, you're going to see more people get more opportunity. And so you're going to see better quality lineups going out there more often for single A. I mean, personally, I think that last season in single A, quite a few teams were very competitive at single A level.
Yeah, there was very few games where it was all one-sided.
Yeah,
and of course, because you're playing, you should still celebrate winning the league.
Yeah, it's definitely still as well in the development phase. Like, this is only going to be the second proper season of single A. We had the development league in 2021, but that was very much we were developing more the structure of that division the first year, I guess, and trying it out. Yeah, just sort of trying it out. So, yeah, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't celebrate winning a 14-game season. I mean, we had a Triple A season just a couple of years ago. It was only, was it 11 or 12 games long, and that was still a phenomenal season.
Exactly, yeah.
Think of it this way, like I said, if you win your division, you still put that banner up there, so your league champion's there. So, you know, as a Mariner fan, we don't have a lot to celebrate, so we hang on to anything we can. We've got wild card banners up there, so we'll take what we can get.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that if I was to win a division, no matter what division it was, I would not shut up about it. And you know I would never shut up about it, Jason. I only stopped talking about this like a few months ago. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we really need to touch on at this point. Is there anything else that you want to touch on just now, Paul?
You've mentioned the live streaming, the opening day game. It's worth mentioning. We're going to stream a game every single week on the Baseball Scotland Facebook page, and we'll hopefully be able to record the other games to create little highlight videos to post out on YouTube and TikTok and everywhere else that does video streaming. Through the app we're going to use is the Swish TV app. We're getting support from them to have multiple logins under the one license. So we should be able to provide some good content for the season. With the voice of John McKellar on commentary. Yeah,
as my new head would say, I will be on comms for Baseball Scotland moving forward. I will be doing a game every fortnight due to childcare commitments every second Sunday. I won't be able to do every week. But a live game every week. It's going to be amazing. We trialled it at the All-Star game last year. Both Caledonia Classics as well were recorded. I mean, the entire AAA postseason, I think, was actually streamed live. And it turned out to be, I think, more popular and more successful than I imagined. We had like a good 600 or so views on both Caledonia Classics and roughly about the same for the All-Star game. So one last thing actually to touch on to bring us back to earlier, the All-Star break. It's the July 4th weekend this year. What's that going to look like this season? Is it going to be much the same, or are we going to make any tweaks?
It's looking like it's going to be the same idea as last year. It's going to be in Tayport because they won the postseason. There's a lot of details still to be confirmed with that, if I'm honest. But we're going to try and have it a big celebration weekend, because the way the schedule works is obviously we've got Father's Day, taking a break for that, and then we are taking a break for the London series, which we'll be having some more watch parties, hopefully up and down the country this time, and then the All-Star break return after the 2 weeks off. So
I like it. Like I said, you host the All-Star game. It's like Eurovision. If you win, you host the All-Star game. So.
All right. We shall leave it there for the night. Next Monday, Jason, you're bringing us a new episode of Tea and Talks with Graham, yeah?
Yep, I'm going back and forth every Monday night, so I'm always live Monday. So if I'm not doing this show, I'm doing Tea and Talks. So I get a full Monday night these days there. So all good. Yeah,
we are now on Mondays at 9, same time but different day. It's going to continue to be every second week for the time being. We might go back to weekly at some point, but at the minute, I know that for me, it's just way easier to do one every fortnight at the minute because I've got so much going on. It's unbelievable. But join us 2 weeks from now when we will be right on the cusp. My calendar app doesn't work on my computer.
Almost opening day, a week from opening day, 2 weeks. Opening day.
27th of March, I guess it will be. So that's going to be right in the lead up to opening day. We're going to try and get some folks on to talk about their teams, talk about their off season, and we're going to look forward at the actual matchups and try and get a kind of sense of what we're going to see that first Sunday. And like I said, I'm going to be in Edinburgh on April 2nd with the call on the opening day game between the Devils and the Cannons. All that remains now is to do the credits, because we do have to do some credits now. You got something else, Jason?
Yeah, a few announcements that we haven't done. So a lot of you guys haven't played in the last 4 years. You've never seen the weekly newsletter. So we brought that back last week there, and we will be doing the weekly updates on that. And
Nice.
So if you're interested in finding out what's going on, there'll be a newsletter that should go out around like 2 o'clock every Monday that will have a recap of all the games and any kind of event that may go on. So if you've got something going like a watch party, we'll absolutely put that in there and get it to the wider audience. And 2, there's a shop. The Baseball Scotland shop is now open. So if you want your own Baseball Scotland merchandise, you can get hoodies, shirts, and if you're feeling like you want to help out with our show, we are selling hoodies and shirts as well too.
You can't buy this yet, but you can buy a shirt or a hoodie. And I've got one of these each for you guys, Paul and Jason. So I'm going to hand deliver them on April 2nd when I get over there. So, but yeah, you can now buy a Ballcaps and Bagpipes t-shirt or hoodie. Who saw that coming? It's if you'd like to purchase one and support the show, by all means, please do. But certainly pick up some
very smartly dressed. That's the other part
there. Please do buy some Baseball Scotland merchandise, because the money will go back into helping grassroots baseball in the country, and that's really the most important thing. Is continuing to grow the game in Scotland, continuing to grow the scope of the league, and keeping us, giving us something to talk about every couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
For a long time.
There's no profit in this for us anyone at all. It all goes straight back in the league. So anything you buy from the shop goes right back in the league there. So that goes for any turns that we have, our balls, our umpires, or whatever things we may need. I said that no one's making a profit with that. It goes straight back into the bank accounts of the league.
Yeah. Can I do my credits now, Jason?
Yeah, I got my stuff in. I'm good. I had to wait all show long to get some couple comments in. Now you're trying to cut me off.
Before we go, I do have one question actually on Twitter. Where the hell's it gone? So Adam M at ads 1585 says, any truth to the rumours Jason will get a WBC spot start for GB, with Paul a potential defensive replacement at third base?
Adam Murphy's on the wind-up.
Never say never.
If you have the Czech guys that are teachers and whatnot there, why not? I can make the comeback at that.
Is there a seniors team for GB?
Is that not the Mets? Anyway, let's call that night. So, Ballcaps and Bagpipes. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter, both at Caps and Pipes. You can follow us on Instagram. It's Ballcaps and Bagpipes there. We have a new intro video that you'll have seen at the start, courtesy of Chris Kelly, my wonderful comments teammate. And the Ballcaps and Bagpipes artwork is by Rylan Kyle, concept by Jason Dare. So there.
There you go, boy. Can't even see it. There you
go. Jossie says, cheers, lads. Nick Clark says, Jason Dare's fork ball would play in the WBC. I don't know. It's been a while. I think even you might struggle with that classic pitch years.
They might not have seen a 45-mile-per-hour fork ball before, so you know what? I got that up my arse.
Possibly, yeah.
GB's still winning 5-3, so it's now in the
I put the game on my phone over here. I was like, yeah.
Nice one. All the best, guys. Thanks so much to everyone who's joined us. If you're watching on demand, thanks for catching up with us. We'll be back in 2 weeks. That would be March the 27th with a proper full preview of opening day. All that remains is to say good night, and Bobby, been here.
All right, guys. See you in 2 weeks.